Afternoon, everybody. Gonna do some maintenance on my EXMARK Radius Series S 52-inch mower. I'm hearing some whining lately as of last season, and I probably should have changed the hydro then, but I said I'll get it early this spring. So today the goal is to change the hydro fluid, which is underneath the chassis down here. And I've been watching a lot of videos on it. I read the owner's manual on it. I'm gonna see which way is best to do it. I've seen guys jack it up, take the rear tire off, change the filters that way. I really don't think you need to do it. So I'm gonna try one with the tire on. And if that's too difficult, then I'll pull the other tire and see what happens. But either way, I'll do it step by step. Follow the maintenance manual so I don't screw anything up, including the air purge procedure. And I'll take you through it. Okay, so I bought my EXMARK from a beverage tractor here in Stewart's Draft, Virginia. It's been I've had it for about 2 seasons. It's done wonderful. On about 6 acres is what I mow every week. It's definitely a lot better than riding around with a tractor and a finish mower. That does work, but it's very slow. And granted, that's a 72-inch. This is a 52-inch. But I can zing around on this thing a lot faster and get the mowing done in half the time, believe it or not. So anyway, looked online for a hydro kit to do 2 filters, 1 for each axle, and 5 quarts of fluid. EXMARK wanted 185 bucks plus shipping in some areas. I was like, forget that. So started doing some homework. I've never done one before, so found out that Hydro Gear is the one that actually manufactures the axle and everything back here in the hydro unit. So they even give their little logo back here. So I went with them and saved about 85 bucks. So the kit's on Amazon. I can put it in the link below. Here's the part number for the hydro maintenance kit. Again, on Amazon, it's about 185 bucks from EXMARK. But if you get the Hydro Gear version, it's about 100 bucks. Here's the part number and filter number. So on page 65 of the owner's manual, it tells you exactly how to do the procedure. I watched a couple YouTube videos on zero-turn mowers and how to do the hydro. Doesn't seem too difficult, but I noticed a lot of guys blow past the air purge procedure, which is pretty straightforward. But I'm going to follow this by the book, and we'll go through it. Okay, it says first step is to locate the hydro filters on the axle, rear axle, and remove the cover guard right here. So there's 2 bolts, 1 and 2. Take those out. Pretty straightforward. It's a 3/8 inch socket. So we'll try that. Okay, that was pretty straightforward. Take out the 2 bolts and look at all the grass crap built up in there. Yeah, it's the first time I've changed it, so I probably need to do this better. All right, it's 1. Okay, both covers are off, 2 bolts each. Okay, it says carefully clean around the filters. It is important that no dirt or contamination enter hydraulic system. Unscrew filters and remove and allow oil to drain from drive system. That's next. Okay, clean the filter, got all the dirt out of the area, put on my oil wrench. A little ratchet here, should be coming out real soon. There we go. Start to turn, just like a engine oil filter. Cool, once I get it loose. And right now, like I said, I'm doing it with the tire on. It's not bad. It's not like it's really in the way. I'm sure it would help pulling the tire, but hey, I don't have to pull it. I'm not gonna. Okay, there we go. And I'm just gonna let that drain for a bit. To help it drain, I'm just gonna pop this cap for the reservoir. Yeah, get some air in there. Yeah, the book says to change it the first 75 hours and then 250 to 500 hours after that, depending on the oil you use. You know, I probably should have done it, but I blew it off. It's a little darker than normal, but it's not horrible. So I bought this thing in 2021. This is my first hydro oil change. This is the original filter here, and it tells you, make sure you use only approved 52114 to replace with. Grab the new filter, and it's a 52114 oil filter, so we're good. Just as a comparison, I like to look at the filters and see what the differences are. It does look like there's a difference. They're both made by Hydro Gear Commercial. Hydro Gear Commercial. So, just interesting, that's all. Oil around the seal and put the new one on. So there's hydro number 2, the right side. Almost done draining. It looks about like 5 quarts based on the pan. So I'll get this cleaned up. I'll oil the O-ring on the new filter, tighten it down by hand until 3/4 to 1 full turn. Okay, both filters are installed and tight. Now it says to remove the vent drain hole on the top of the housing up there. So I'm gonna try and get my camera. See that big bolt way up top there, right by the rod? That's the one you got. Either loosen it to allow air or take it out. I'm gonna take it out because I wanna see the fluid come out of the top of the housing when I fill this thing. So the vent drain plug is right here, and that is a 11/16 socket. So it's a little tight getting in there with a short extension, but it worked just fine. Came right out. Just be careful that rubber gasket doesn't roll off when you take it off. Mine was halfway down the threads. I just pushed it back. I wish I had the O-rings to replace it, but we're gonna make do. Here's an interesting note. The right side, aft facing forward, you will notice there's something in your way. This little solenoid thing, I don't know what the hell this is, but it's in the way of putting a socket on the top vent plug. See if I can point that out right there. The vent plug's right there. So what you gotta do is use an open end wrench. It's easier, and then just back it off and take it out by hand. Okay, this is the right side. You can see up by that nut up there, the hole is the vent hole. I've got the plug out right here, but notice I was talking about earlier that O-ring kind of stays on the threads for some reason, so make sure you push that back down before you put it back in. One other thing you will find a little helpful is since this right side's so problematic, it's not really difficult, just gotta be patient. The parking brake, when it's on, this rod is really tight, so it makes it a little more challenging getting a wrench up in there. See if I can demo it for you. Get the wrench up in there to loosen it. So when you release the parking brake, it gives you enough flexibility to really turn the wrench a lot better. The only thing I'm going to warn you, obviously, is don't be on a slope. You should probably chalk your wheels and all that good stuff so you don't kill yourself. All right. Okay, I'm on step 5 down here. It says, loosen or temporarily remove the vent plug on each transmission and fill through the expansion reservoir. When the oil comes out of the vent hole, retighten the plug. So that's what we're gonna do. Now, a lot of the older units have 2 reservoirs, one on the right, one on the left. Mine only has one, so it feeds both. So I gotta be careful about capturing any fluid that drops out as I'm servicing it. But I wouldn't expect to see that till about 2.5 quarts. Okay, so I put 2 little containers underneath the vent holes, so when they overflow, they'll go right in there. Should see that about, I don't know, we'll find out. I'll start servicing through the reservoir. So I poured 3/4 of a quart into the reservoir. It's a slow process. it's going down, but it takes a long time. So be prepared to be here a bit, kid. 4 more quarts to go. Just put in my 4th quart. And I see, oh, there it is. It's coming out the one side. All right. So I need to put the vent plug back on. Interestingly enough, and I knew it would, I was just finished pouring 4 quarts into the reservoir. And of course the right side started to come out the weep hole or the vent hole. So I tightened down the right side because that's full. The vent plug is now tight. Now I'm working on the left side. Right now, it's slowly going down. It just takes a lot longer now that one vent hole is plugged. So the biggest problem with this servicing is the time it takes to do it. All right. So I'm thinking it'll start coming out the top probably in another half a quart. And then I'll tighten it down and do the air purge procedure. I just went above the cold fill line, the remaining quart I have, to see when it's gonna come out. Since the other plug is in, I'm assuming the other hydro is full and it's transferring to this side now. That's why it's taking so long. I did pull the plug just to see if it would vent better that way, but it doesn't seem to really make a difference. So, just waiting on it to come out the hole now. And I'll tighten it down and start the air purge procedure. Okay, it took over about 4.5 quarts before the left side started to come out the vent hole. So plug that up. Right now sitting in the reservoir. Still got a half a quart left, but in the reservoir I'm at the cold level. So I'm going to do the air purge procedure now and see what that does. Raise vehicle, raise the rear of the machine up and support with jack stands or equivalent to support, just high enough to allow drive wheels to turn freely. Got it? Okay, final step is basically to make sure there's no air in the system. So it says basically to raise the rear end of the tractor just enough clearance for the wheels to spin freely. I did that. It's on my Daytona. It's good to go. Start at half throttle. And I've opened up the bypass valves under here. There's a handle right here. And there's a knob. You loosen the knob, you pull the handle back, and it basically disengages the axle for free wheel, so you can push the vehicle if you had to without power. It just lets the rear wheels spin freely. You do that for both sides. You tighten down the handle, pull this out, tighten down the handle. So now it's in the open position. Start the vehicle. Parking brakes on. Half throttle. Half throttle. Release parking brake. Bring handles together. 5-6 times forward and back. Here we go. Back to neutral, throttle down, brake on, shut it off. All right, so you cycle it back and forth 5 or 6 times with the valves open, and then you close the valves. So you release that handle again, unscrew it, take this little knob, push it forward, lock it in. Now it engages the wheels again. Hi, baby. How you doing there, Fernie? Fernie says hi. I'm gonna do it for the other side now. Fernie hears me talking to myself a lot. She must wonder what the hey. Tight. Okay, handles in and tight. Now you do the procedure one more time, then check servicing. Okay, I did the second round and I ran it through with the valves, bypass valves closed. And you can see the fluid came down quite a bit. So But I didn't hear any whining or anything like that, which is good. So if you heard a lot of whining from the motor or the hydros, then you know you may not have gotten all the air out, and then you repeat the procedure.